Hi, this is Jake, and I run the chess club at the Creston-Dement Public Library, and I'm glad you're joining me today. This is part of a series of videos that are for complete beginners to the game of chess. In this video, I will talk shortly about the game board and then introduce the first piece that we will be talking about. Chess is played on a checkered 8x8 game board with alternating light and dark squares. If you've been practicing your multiplication table, you'll know that 8 times 8 leads us to a total of 64 squares. To properly set up the game board in the correct orientation, you can follow the rhyme, light on the right. If we want to talk about a certain square on the game board, we can use algebraic notation. This is just a fancy way of saying that each file, which are the squares in a vertical, or up and down, line on the board, is labeled with a letter. This is the A file, the B file, the C file, and so on. And each rank, which are the squares in a horizontal or left and right line on the board, is labeled with a number. For example, the first rank, the second rank, the third rank, and so on. So to talk about a specific square, we can combine the name of the file and rank that the square belongs to. For example, if I wanted to know the notation of this square, I can find the file it belongs to, which is the F file, and I can find the rank that it belongs to, which is the 5th rank, which means this is the F5 square. Let's try a few more, shall we? How about this square? Let's find the file it belongs to, C, and the rank, 7. This is the C7 square. Let's try this square next. Belongs to the H file, and the second rank, which means this is the H2 square. How about this square next? This is on the E file and on the first rank. This is the E1 square. The E1 square is the square that the first piece we will be discussing starts on, which is the king. The goal of the game of chess is relatively simple, to attempt to capture the other player's king. The game actually ends one turn before this goal is achieved. When a player's king is in a position where its capture cannot be prevented, that is called checkmate, and the game is over. This means the king is the most important piece. If you allow your king to be checkmated, you lose the game. The king is not completely defenseless, though. He can move one square in any direction, including diagonally, as long as moving into that square does not allow him to be captured by the other player. He can also capture a piece that belongs to the other player by following these movement rules and moving onto the square that the other piece is on. Again, this is as long as this does not move your king into danger. Let's move our king across the board to the E8 square, and please join me in saying the names of the squares he visits on his journey. The king starts on the E1 square and begins his journey by moving to E2, then E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, and finally E8. That was pretty simple. Let's have him take another trip, this time down to the A1 square. Again, join me in saying the names of the squares he visits. The king starts his journey on E8, and the first move we'll have him make is down to D7, then to C6, and straight down to C5, C4, B3, B2, and finally A1. Although he will be making an appearance in a later lesson, this will conclude today's lesson on the king. Also, I encourage you to take some time on your own to practice the notation of the squares, as we will continue to use this notation in our lessons. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you and your king stay safe.